So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the Detroit Lions are 2-6, coming off a really big defensive victory versus their division rival Green Bay Packers at Ford Field this past weekend. And this weekend, the Detroit Lions are traveling to Chicago to Soldier Field to take on, yet again, the third divisional matchup in the Chicago Bears. Now today we're going to talk about the Bears and the Lions, kind of compare the two teams, compare what team has strengths where and what teams has weaknesses where, talk about what each team is doing well and how each team can win this game, and then at the end talk about who is the better football team and who should be the victor in this matchup. So starting off with the Chicago Bears. The Bears are coming off a strong offensive performance despite their loss to Miami last weekend, as Justin Fields set the single-game quarterback rushing record on 15 carries for 178 yards and a single touchdown. On top of that, Justin Fields threw for 3 touchdowns despite the low yardage through the air and was extremely efficient and effective as the Chicago Bears quarterback. And this is not the first time this season Justin Fields has had good games. Justin Fields for back-to-back weeks now has had multiple touchdown throws to 0 interceptions and 0 turnovers as a whole. And just as, an overall quarterback, being that dynamic on the ground through the air threat is a huge gain for a Chicago Bears offense that is lacking in other departments such as the protection, the offensive line, and the weaponry. Justin Fields is easily the most dangerous weapon on the Chicago Bears roster, again amounting for 4 touchdowns and well over 300 yards in the victory last week versus the Miami Dolphins defense. And, just overall, if the Bears want to keep winning football games, I know they haven't won the last 2 when Justin's been a very good quarterback, but if they want to start winning more games and if they want to get back to winning football, Justin Fields is going to have to stay at this level and improve even more. And if your quarterback is rushing for 150 yards a game, as well as, amassing 300 scrimmage yards and 4 touchdowns to 0 turnovers, that is going to put your offense in a really good position to win. Now, the Detroit Lions are the opposite. The Detroit Lions are coming off an extremely promising defensive performance from last week as they picked off Aaron Rodgers 3 times, twice in the end zone, and en route to defeating their division rivals by a score of 15-9. The Lions, very oppositely of the Chicago Bears, won a defensive slugfest. They won a game where turnovers mattered, where every inch mattered, where that first down was just as valuable as the touchdown. And at the end of the day, the Lions were able to make enough plays. They were able to force enough turnovers and force enough mistakes by the Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in order to steal the victory at home. So 2 very different teams coming off of 2 very different results in 2 very different fashions, but who is going to be the better team and which team stacks up better against one another? Well, despite Justin Fields having a phenomenal day and really having a really good last couple of games, the Bears overall haven't been successful. They are 0-2 in their last 2 games, allowing 6 sacks in that time frame. The Chicago Bears have allowed the second most sacks in the NFL with 33 through 8 games, and the Chicago Bears have the single highest sack percentage in the NFL, meaning they might not have given up the most sacks overall, but if you're going by the amount of sacks, by the amount of snaps actually ran, the Chicago Bears are winning that race, or I guess losing that race, by quite a significant margin, I believe being well over 10% that mark for the season as of right now, and they are far and away the worst team when it comes to sack percentage, which means the Detroit Lions should be able to get to Justin Fields. The Dolphins got to Justin Fields 2 times last last week. The Cowboys 2 weeks ago got to Justin Fields 4 times, and despite having a really good game in both of those contests, Justin Fields was hit. He was, battered and bruised. He was just absolutely punished for his style of play. And although he had really good statistical games, those hits and those sacks are just piling up over and over and over on Justin Fields. And when the opposing team gets to the quarterback, a lot like teams have been doing to the Chicago Bears, it's really, really hard to stay in rhythm. It's really hard to continue those drives. And despite Justin Fields and the Bears putting up 33 last week, it generally is very difficult for them to constantly and consistently put up points when their quarterback is on the ground. So this game should be a really good game for the Detroit Lions to get right on the pass rush, right? Ever since Josh Pascal and John Kaminsky and Charles Harris have come back, they have been a better pass rush. And I know statistically they're not going to show up as one of the most prolific or efficient pass rushes when it comes to sacks, but against Aaron Rodgers and against the Dallas Cowboys and even against the Miami Dolphins, they were rushing the passer. They were getting pressure on the quarterback. Right, in Dallas, they had multiple sacks. Against Aaron Rodgers, there was, not a lot of sacks, but some of those pressures did force some turnovers. And of course, versus the Miami Dolphins, they got a lot of pressure. The Miami Dolphins just were able to get the ball out very, very fast, so that pressure didn't necessarily even have enough time to get home, even if there wasn't a ton of blockers. The Lions have won their individual matchups as pass rushers, but, every team has kind of countered that very differently. As I said, Miami has passed the ball very quick. They relied on the quick passing game a lot. The Green Bay Packers didn't really have an answer, and they got rid of the ball before the pass rush got there, but those turnovers were forced because of the pass rush. And again, down in Dallas, they had multiple sacks, and that defense put the team in a position to win. So I do believe the Lions should be able to get home. I do believe the Lions should be able to rush the passer. They should be able to get you Justin Fields, and if they're able to contain him in the pocket and force him to beat the Lions with long drives and big throws down the field, I think the Lions will be in a pretty positive position when it comes to the end of the football game. Now, the Chicago Bears are also ranked as the 25th overall defense as far as points allowed, while the Detroit Lions are no longer last place. They are now 31st in the NFL in points allowed. But the Bears don't have a great scoring defense on top of not having a great scoring offense, and in the last couple of weeks, they have traded away both Robert Quinn as well as leading tackler Roquan Smith, so the defense is not only getting younger and less experienced, but it's also losing 2 of the best playmakers that they had on the defensive side of the ball. The Lions should be able to move the ball, with DeAndre Swift getting healthier by the day, with Jamal Williams having really good performances overall this year at the running back position, with Amon-Ra St. Brown healthy, and hopefully Josh Reynolds returning to this lineup. The Lions are starting to get some weapons back, and hopefully Jared Goff will be able to return to his early season form as the Lions cruise their way to 28 to 35 points pretty regularly, game after game after game. The Lions have really struggled since the New England Patriots matchup, with the exception of Miami, to really put consistent points on the board, and the Bears are a really good team to bounce back against, right? Dallas is a top defense in the NFL. Miami, extremely talented defense. Even the Packers, statistically, are a very, very good defense. The Bears are really the first defense in a while that the Lions are playing that isn't statistically top 10, top 15 in the NFL, so the Lions should realistically be able to put some points on the board and put their team in a position to win. Now, comparing the two teams going position by position, I think these teams are pretty evenly matched, right? Starting off with the quarterback position, Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. And I know the passing numbers might not be there. I know the passing yardage might say it goes in favor of Jared Goff. I know that even the passing touchdowns might go in favor of Jared Goff. But if we're talking about weapons, we're talking about who's the more dangerous quarterback and what quarterback you'd rather be starting this week, the answer is pretty clearly Justin Fields. Running back, I think the Chicago Bears have a pretty underrated running back core. Khalil Herbert, I think, is very good and an underrated back. I think David Montgomery is a back that doesn't get a lot of consideration when talking about best running backs in the NFL. And while they're not top 10, top 15, they are very efficient running backs and are very good. But on their best days, and I think when they're all healthy, I think the Lions have a better running back duo. I would take DeAndre Swift and I would take Jim, and I would take Jamal Williams before I would take David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. But again, it's a very, very close contest of, say the, 20th best running back core and the 23rd best running back core, right? Those are just numbers that I made up, but they're very close as far as talent, as far as production. But I think DeAndre Swift's ability in the receiving game and his ability to be explosive, even when he's not 100% healthy, is going to give the Lions a slight edge in that department, as well as wide receiver. I know the Bears just added Chase Claypool to the roster, but if we're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Reynolds versus Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney, I do think that the Lions have a slight edge. I know they're very much injured right now, but just based off of lack of efficiency, lack of production so far, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is easily the best wide receiver on the field, and I think Josh Reynolds is a pretty good complement to that. But again, very, very close. Neither team, I think, has the most dynamic weapons in the NFL, but I think just, St. Brown being back, being healthy, being the old Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to give the Lions the slight edge there. But tight end goes to the Bears. With the Lions trading away TJ Hockenson, they no longer have an elite or top-level tight end, and while James Mitchell can certainly be effective and may develop into a really good receiving threat tight end, as of right now, he's only started one game in his career, and as much faith as I have in Brock Wright and James Mitchell to do their jobs very efficiently at the tight end position, it's going to be hard when Cole Kmet is there on the other side, being a really good, more veteran, more experienced, and more proven tight end on the other side of the ball. Now, looking at the offensive line, the Lions are the better offensive line. This is the only real category where it's not even close. The Lions are the better offensive line. They have allowed some of the fewest sacks in the NFL on their quarterback. They are a really good run-blocking team. The Lions' offensive line is dominant. They've been dominant, and they are much better than the Chicago Bears. But that is really the only position where I can confidently say for either team, this unit is 100% undoubtedly, inarguably better than the other football team. Moving over to the defense, I think the Lions have a better pass rush as of right now. You look at who's getting sacks for the Chicago Bears, and it's Jaquan Brisker with 3. It is Roquan Smith with, I believe, 2.5, and everybody else has 2, 1, or 0. While the Detroit Lions don't have a huge pass rush up to this point, Charles Harris has a sack and a half, Aiden Hutchinson has 4.5, John Kaminsky has a sack and a half, I believe. Their defensive line is more productive as a pass rushing unit than the Bears, and again, the Bears' second leading pass rusher is now in Baltimore and is not going to be rushing the passer for the Bears any longer. I think if we're talking just, overall pass rushers, as far as defensive line and linebackers, I would say the Lions have the better pass rush, but it's not anything to really brag about. Neither team is very good at rushing the passer. Same thing with rushing defense. The Lions and the Bears are pretty much dead even when it comes to rushing yards allowed per game. I believe they're literally less than 1.5 yards apart when it comes to yards allowed per game on the ground. I would give the slight edge statistically to Chicago because that is what the statistics say, but again, it's not like it's one major strength of either side of the football. And then I would say the passing defense pretty easily goes to Chicago. While the Lions had 3 interceptions a week ago, they have been very inconsistent on the season. If Kirby Joseph cannot go, or Jeff Okudah, or Amani Oruwari, or whatever cornerbacks they have can't step up and continue that high level of play like we've seen early in the season, I think it's pretty easy to say that the Chicago Bears have a better secondary as of right now, led primarily by Jaquan Brisker. But if the Lions continue to play like they played against Green Bay, I think they could give them a run for their money. So, with all that being said, they're very even teams in my opinion. Do I think the Lions have a chance to win this game? Absolutely. Do I think the Lions should go into this game expecting to win this game if you're a member of the Detroit Lions? I do. I think if you're the Lions, you should go in with the aspirations that we're going to run the ball. DeAndre Swift's going to get 10, 15 touches. Jamal Williams is going to get 15, 20 touches. We might give Justin Jackson, 3, 5 touches and maybe a few targets through the air. We're going to come in and run the ball. We're going to test the Bears defensive line. We're going to test their patience. We're going to wear them down over the game. And then when we really need to, right, we're going to find Amon-Ra St. Brown on those quick passes. We're going to find Josh Reynolds on those intermediate to deep passes. We're going to find, right, James Mitchell on a tight end, short pass to pick up some big yards and some yak. We're going to use our weapons efficiently. But if I were the Lions, I would come in with the aspirations of running the ball and running the ball a lot, because the Chicago Bears have not been able to stop it very often this year. And then if I'm the Detroit Lions on defense, my first priority is Justin Fields, right? I know they have Montgomery. I know Khalil Herbert can break off some big runs. I know that Claypool is capable of having big games. I know even Darnell Mooney can be a pretty good wide receiver when he is on. But if I'm the Detroit Lions, my number one concern is Justin Fields. I want to contain him in the pocket. I want to put a QB spy on him. I would like to see Malcolm Rodriguez or Alex Anzalone spying Justin Fields every single obvious passing down, right? If it is 1st and 10, spy him. If it is 2nd and long, spy him. If it is 3rd and down, you absolutely need to have a spy on Justin Fields, because he is that dangerous as a runner that even if it's 3rd and 15, if you blow your assignments or if you're in man coverage and a lane opens up in the middle, Justin Fields will not hesitate to take advantage of that and will not hesitate to pick up the 1st down. So with that being said, both of these teams have 6 losses. The Lions are 2-6, the Bears are 3-6. Neither team is particularly great at anything, and the teams on both sides of the ball have some very clear and flawed issues. But if I were to take a guess, I think the Lions will win this football game. And they're going in with some confidence. I think they, won that first game versus the division rivals. I think that will bring some new energy. I think that will kind of carry them into this game. And I think that, just overall, I think the style that the Lions are going to try to play is going to outmatch the Chicago Bears, right? When we look at last year, they were both very close games. The game in Soldier Field, the Lions did what they did, right? They had, I believe, 4 turnovers in that game, 3 of those turnovers coming in the red zone. That is an outlier thing. That likely will not happen again. We look at both games last year. Both games were extremely close. I think the Lions got better. I think the Bears got a little bit worse, but still, right around where they were. I think the trading of Roquan Smith will make a huge difference in the Detroit Lions rushing attack. So I think the Lions will win this game. I think the Lions will win a very, again, low-scoring slugfest, right? The running backs will probably have 30, 35 carries in this game when it's all said and done. Hopefully, right, Jamal Williams can find the end zone once or twice. Hopefully, DeAndre Swift can rejuvenate the offense with some big plays. But overall, I think this will be a low-scoring, really tough contest. Hopefully, the elements don't play too big of a factor. But if I had to guess, I would say the Detroit Lions will hopefully walk out of this game 6-3, while the Bears will walk out with another close loss at 3-7. So with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this matchup down in the comments below. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to take advantage of their matchups and put more points on the board? I'm very curious what you guys think. But with all of that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.